So let's
Watch
get
the
started.
different.
Welcome to the mock interview. Glad to have you here today. I'll just go over just quickly again, summarizing the format of the interview today, and then let me know if there's any questions. All right. So, like I said, 1 hour long. We're gonna go right into the question essentially, and we'll be working on it for about 45 minutes. Okay.
Mhm.
And then we'll have 50 minutes at the end. That's going to be used for feedback for you, as well as any questions you have for me. We'll go to that at that point. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, cool. So I see you're logged into the coder pad now. We'll get right into it. All right. So the first question we're going to be asking you today is about a palindrome. So do you know what palindromes are?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the term, but could you like briefly explain?
Yeah, no worries. So a palindrome is a string. It's a type of string, and the string we call it palindromic if the string is the same if you read it forwards or backwards. All right.
Uh-huh.
And for the purpose of this for this problem here, okay, we're only going to be considering lowercase English letters.
Okay, sounds good.
So if something is not a lowercase English letter, we are going to ignore it. Does that make
Uh,
sense?
as in, like, it won't be counted towards our check if
That's right. It
the
won't
string
be
overall is forward backwards. Okay.
exactly. It will not be. It will still be. It might still be in the string. I don't know. It might be in the string, but we but it is not. But we don't care about it essentially.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense? By the way, is Python? By the way, I should have asked you earlier. What's your preferred language? I mean, we could
Oh
change
yeah.
language. Python's
No,
good.
Python 3 works.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Just double checking. All right, good. Okay, um, so that's kind of the opening. Okay. Now there's a bit of a so here's the actual problem. So I want you to check if a string is palindromic. Um,
Yeah.
but if it's not palindromic, you can delete one character from it.
Wait, so check if the string is palindromic, and
Yes.
if it's not, then delete a character.
Yes.
Are
I
we
mean, if it
okay.
is, then it's good. If it's not, you can try to delete a character from it, any character at any point, and then make
Okay.
it palindromic. And then if you're able to make it palindromic after deleting one character, then it's a good string. You should return true. And if you can't make it palindromic after deleting one character, then then you should return false. It's not possible to be made into a palindrome.
Oh, okay, okay, I see. So just like I guess restate the problem. We're given a string, and we can assume it's all lowercase or no?
Nope, you cannot assume it's all lowercase.
Okay. So given a string of English characters that may be either lower and upper string, we check to see if it's palindromic or not. If it is, we return a boolean that's true.
Hmm.
And if it's not, we then try to delete any one character within the string, and then we check again to see if that turns into a palindrome. If it's not, then we return false.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Let me just write this down quick. Check this. See if someone like this down. Uh, if not, return false. Um, yeah, sounds good. Are there any sort of constraints that I should be worried about right now, or no?
Constraints wise, don't worry about those for now.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. My first. Okay, I see. Um, the palindrome check is pretty. It's pretty straightforward. We could either a just do a. Oh yeah, sorry. Just can I ask a clarifying question? Are we allowed to use any sort of like built-in functions, like for instance, like reverse?
Yeah, you can use reverse.
Okay. All right. Then I guess in that case, I was originally going to say we can do a like left and right pointer check to check if it's palindromic. Um, but that would I guess require more implementation, so we can instead try for the reverse. But now I'm thinking of a way to then include that check where we delete a character and check to see if we can become palindromic based off that. Um, sorry, let me just think for a second in my head.
Yeah, no worries.
Can I go through example? If that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's great.
Okay. Okay. Say we get the string race car. This by default is palindromic because R, like the beginning of a string is an R, so is the end, and then we have an A, and then C, and C, and then E. So this is palindromic. If we say add, let's say like an R here. We then run the check again, and we see that like so far, like if we go check left and right, it's palindromic. If we check left, the beginning and the end of the string is what I mean by left and right. It's also palindromic. But then we come across this issue of
Mm-hmm.
R and C. So and then this breaks our case. So what we could do, I guess, instead is if we come across an issue where we like the clause is broken, like of it being palindromic, we can try to remove that string and then check again from the beginning and try to go through the pass. If we come across another problem, then we can just return false. But like if you come across another issue where like one character is different than the other, then we should return false. Um, so I guess that would be my implementation. Like I would start off with like a string, and then have initialize a pointer from
Okay.
like a right and left one. So where right denotes the end of the string, and then the left one would be the beginning. Then I would increment the left one, decrement the right one by one, until I either reach like a palindrome straight where like everything is matching, or I reach a state where one character, like one character is different than the other. Then I try to like remove the character and then check again. And if within the next check everything is good, then I return true. If it's not, then I return false. I guess that's like
Okay.
the main implementation I want to like add. But now I want to try to figure out how I go about removing the character. Maybe okay. Let me see. Oh, actually, sorry. Before I continue, can I assume that like that I will always get a string, or can the input of the function or like the input value can it be empty?
It's always a string type, but I mean
Can
a
it be an
valid.
empty string?
Yeah, I mean empty string is a valid string. Yeah.
Okay, I see. And then I guess yeah, that would be an edge case. Um, okay, I guess what we can do then is probably I think of how I could check. Um, I guess maybe okay. What if I like for like the so now I'm thinking about how like to implement our previous like solution where we remove like we check the string, and then if there's a character we remove it and then try again with the check. Trying to see how I like implement that. What if we instead like during like our check our process we build the string up, and whenever we come across an issue we start again, but we wait no um
So
no okay
so so what are we thinking about here?
I'm right now thinking of how I should like tackle this like remove string and try again check.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
because my issue is like how do I like I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around how do I like properly remove this like foul character within the string and still be able to check it again. Because like within Python you can't necessarily just like remove a string. Or I guess actually hold on, sorry. What if like within Python, what if instead like we have our pointers, like sorry, we have the string again, and then during like let's say we come across this foul character, we can just do like a sort of concatenation of the string, like string again, where like let's say this is str's this. We can do like str like from like str is equal to str from whatever index we're at. So for this example, it would be so R here. This would be index. This is like how long is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is like index 7, 6, 5. So in this case, we could do like some sort of concatenation where we go from 0 all the way to 5, and then just add here would be like 6 all the way to the end, like some sort of thing like that. So whatever, and then this number, like the 5 and 6, would just be like it'd be like the index position of whatever pointer is pointing to like the issue, like the foul character. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so yeah, this would be like us, like in the case where if we get a foul character, we would reconstruct, we would update our string, and then iterate through it again. And then if we come across a foul character again, we just return false.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Does that sound good?
I did want to ask, why exactly are we modifying the string? Is there a reason for
Uh,
that?
it's so that we can update the string, like because we were asked to remove a character from the string, and then once removing the character, check to see if it's still palindromic. This is like you're removing the character portion.
Well, yes, we are removing the character to check if it's palindromic, but we're removing it to check if it's palindromic, right? We don't actually
Sorry, wait,
care. Like we don't actually care what the string is. Like we don't need to necessarily modify the string itself to check if had we deleted a character it would be palindromic.
oh, yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah, you're right. What if we instead? Okay, what if we instead just jump a pointer? Like we just it's a foul play, but we just jump pointers. Like we continue on the search, and then if you come across like another foul character, we just return false.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like
Yeah, that makes sense.
oh, then okay, you're right. In that case, then we could just have like some sort of like variable, like a counter maybe, like a number of like foul characters, and then if this exceeds our threshold, which is like one, we can just have zero, and if it exceeds one, then we would return false, and the foul character would increment anytime we have like a foul character. Essentially, like if the two pointers don't match what they're pointing to character wise, then we'd increment it, and then we check if this ever reaches above a value of one. Does that work?
Yep, I think I got what you said. Go for it.
Okay, sounds good. All right. You solve, and then we can get string here, and then we will initialize our left to 0, 0, and then actually right is then equal to length of str minus 1. Length of str, yeah, minus 1. Okay. Why am I blanking? Okay, this should work. Let's make. While left is less than or equal to right. And then do a check here. We just increment, well, we first check.
I think you need to use the right variable in the length there, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, string, there we go. Because otherwise, yeah, I'm checking the length of a class string. Or like a variable type, sorry. Yeah, okay, then we just, also forgot the num of foul characters. Be equal to 0, and then we can check the beginning right here, because we're gonna update. Actually, I'll just explain in a bit. Because since like as soon as we get a foul character, we're gonna update the counter, and like by 1, and then we're gonna update the counter by 1, and then update our pointer variables. So we want to always check within like the next iteration of the updating our pointers, check to see if we've found a foul character from like previous iterations of us moving the pointers. And if we did, we just return false right away without having to like execute all the other code. Is greater than 1, return false. And then yeah, and then we just check if we say doesn't equal, and then right here we're checking to see if the strings don't equal, and then we'd increment by what's it called? We increment our file counter by 1. If they do equal, we can just keep checking, and then if actually I'll explain it in a bit. So this would be num character vowel plus equal 1, and then yeah, and then we can do continue. No, this doesn't help. And then we just increment 1 here, increment our pointers, and then increment our left one, decrement our left, increment our left one, decrement our right one.
Okay.
At the very end. And then we check, and then yeah, this would be this, and then return. Let me just write this down and explain what I just did. Yeah, essentially what we're checking here is we initialize our pointers, which is left and right, and then our counter. And then with this while loop, essentially what it does is we're going through the we're going through the string one by one, where the left points to the left side of the left point points to the left side of the string, and the right one points to the right side, and we're checking to see if we come across two characters that aren't the same. If we do, we increment our foul counter by one, and if we reach greater, if our counter somehow reaches greater than one, which means we have one more than one foul character, then we return false by default. Um, if there's no issue at all, then we return true, and then because that then means we have a palindromic character.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I see where you are. Can we run through your example with race car with the extra R here?
Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
because we agree
Right
those one
here.
should be true, right? Like because if you remove this R, it should be correct.
If you remove this R, it should be correct.
So this function should return
Uh,
true, right?
yes. Okay. I actually let me run the code through an example. Let's see if this will work.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, okay. So yeah, if so, we initialize all left and right to be 0, and the length of this -1. So at first, this would be true case. R and R is the same. That would work. A and A would be the same. That would work. R and C would be an issue.
Right. So
But
so
we
so
would
let's
just
so let's walk through a bit. So we start out with our left point over here, and
yes,
the right point over here, right?
yes,
Okay. So
yeah,
now walk me through.
yeah. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so this first check left and right are the same. So we're good to go. We'll just increment L to be over here, and then we decrement R to go one down. We
Okay.
check again. This looks good. We'd increment again, left, be C, or sorry, C, and then R would then be, yeah, right here, R. And then here we have an issue where L and R are not the same. So what we do is we increment foul counter by one, and then we still move our variables, our pointers to +1. So we reach L would be then equal to E,
Uh
and
huh.
then R would then equal to C, and then in this case, all the way this wouldn't. Oh, okay, I see. Wait. So actually, let me clarify then. If by R, if we remove R, do we then uh are we checking to see like with this? Oh, I see. Because if you remove R here, then technically, like we remove R here, it is this then becomes like it's palindromic. However, it's like where I'm initializing the pointers kind of messes it up because I'm incrementing without checking again, which creates a false flag. But that doesn't make sense. But I know. But what said doesn't make sense necessarily. But I know what you mean. Okay, then that's an issue. How do I solve this? I guess if okay, let me run through this example again. I have to figure out a way of which variable to properly which pointer to properly increment or decrement. So if um okay, if race car with an R is an issue, how do I decide which one to remove? Okay. If because we know like inherently that R is the wrong one, but like we don't know R is the wrong one active within the code. So which one do I decide to remove? I guess we can check to see. Like we can like looking at R and then C as well. So they apply to both of these. Whenever we have the case where two characters are mismatching, we can maybe check to see like we can +1 and look over one and check to see if okay, no. Oh, let me
Okay.
think.
Hold on here. So before your R, I believe was over here. Or is it over here? Or was it over here?
Was it okay?
I
No,
forgot.
I think it was over here.
Okay. Okay. So the thing is your in this case when you iterate, it doesn't really matter in my case. In this case, when you iterate through the first three, these all match,
Mhm. Yes.
right? So that's not going to be like even if you could remove any of those three, you wouldn't because then it would be wrong,
Yes. Yeah.
right? So
Okay.
you
I see
actually
what you mean.
so you because again you can choose to remove one or you can remove nothing, right? So you would lean towards not removing any characters if possible, right? Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
so
wait. Wait, sorry. Can you elaborate that? Because like, if we don't remove characters, then it still becomes non-palindromic, right? We
so
must
I'm saying
remove.
my point is that if you don't have to remove characters, you would not remove characters,
Okay. Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So when you look at the first three and the last three in this case, right? These match,
Mhm.
so you would never remove any of those three, even if
Yes.
you could, right? Like you would never remove them because they match. So
Mhm.
the question then becomes, you're coming in, these three match, and these three problems, basically we can just remove them. So I won't actually remove them. What I'll do is I'll just copy this down a line, All right, so these three subproblems are gone. These three problems are gone. Now you're left with these, right? LR, boom. Right? This is your problem now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's going on here? Well, this is not correct. Like this is not a palindrome. When you meet a situation where your left and right string don't match, you have to remove one of them. Right? You have to
Yeah, I
remove one
see.
of them. There's no way
Mm-hmm.
there's no way to reconcile it. You have to remove one of them. Now here's the thing. In this problem, it doesn't matter which of these two you remove. Where let's say
Because
we
either or, yeah.
yeah, because you remove this one, then it's correct again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So in other words, there's a case where so we kind of found two cases, right? Where when things match, you never remove anything. When things don't match, you have to remove one. Now, let's talk about that in more detail. Okay? So, let's say this is our subproblem. Okay? We have this is our right pointer, this is our left pointer, right? This is so R and R match, right? This is over here now. Oops. This over here now, this over here now. A and A match, so this is chill. Over here, right? So now, so A and R match, we don't care about A and R, right? Now we're at
Yeah.
C and R, right? C and R don't match. We have to remove one of them. So first of all, how should you decide which one to remove?
Well, okay. Inherently, we want to remove one such that like we don't create another issue where like the next check also creates like a like a foul character. So
Yeah, right.
maybe we
Yeah, exactly. So in
yeah.
other words, we have two options. We can end up with so we can end up with the same thing. So we can end up with we can remove the R, right? So in this case, let's call it remove right, right? In this case, I'm gonna just copy this down. Oops, copy too many. In this case, we remove left, right? So this would be so we would remove this guy. Oops, we remove this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Did I do that right?
Oh, okay.
So you can remove R, or you can remove. This would be C.
Yes. Okay, I see. And then
Right?
oh, okay. What if
Like you end up with
yeah
like the thing is that you end up with two.
between two like two? It's like we end up with two like new solutions of what would then
Yes.
like what would each one look like, and then maybe we could do like the reverse. Like if this looks the same reverse, then we return true. If it doesn't, then we return false.
Okay, but which one, right? Like think about this very clearly. So, but at this point, right? At this point, when you're choosing which one to remove, you don't know that it would be a palindrome necessarily because you still haven't calculated the middle yet, right?
You don't know if it's because you could well what couldn't you do that couldn't you use like the reverse function
I mean,
within
you could,
Python
you
and just
could.
check there?
I mean, you
Okay,
could,
okay.
but you could also do that at the start, like what, like with that argument, you could just use that over here. But no. But I mean, you could. I did allow it. That's fine. But I want to be clear about
Okay.
that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Whenever you come across a situation where two characters don't match, you have to delete one. And the question is, which one do you delete? Right now, I'm gonna let you take it from here with this logic over here, right? So in this case, you can either remove the C or the R. You end up with two different strings, right?
Mhm.
And you can By the way, you might need to modify some of your code over here to handle that case. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm gonna have you take it from here and let's see what you can come up with.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Um, would it be okay if I went with what I suggested earlier, the function, or
Yeah, you can. I mean, you could do whatever you like. Yeah, I'm just giving you a bit of guidance on this specific part. Yeah.
okay, I see. Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay. Well, I guess yeah, in that case, because we're only maybe we don't even necessarily need the foul like the counter, because if you run across the issue once, we can do this. We can like I guess like do our like one two instances of like possibility like two different worlds where we remove the right or left character and check to see within either those two worlds if we can get a palindrome, if that makes sense. So actually let me I did too much code. This isn't necessary for now. Delete it. If it's the case where this happens, we can me see. Okay, okay, string left. If string left's a problem, we could try. I'm having a hard time putting what I'm thinking right now. Okay, okay, if say like we come across two characters that aren't the same, we want to remove a check, remove the left one, check to see if we do remove it, if we get a palindrome, and then the same for the right, and then whichever one, like if either of those cases are true, like it becomes palindromic, then we return true. Otherwise, we return false. So then we could do a return, and then in like a big bracket, or to like and set like to showcase two alternate realities. I'm not sure what the exact function it is. I want to say it's this. I don't think it's this, but it's okay to look up the documentation to figure out which one it would be.
Are you just looking to reverse the string?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can use. Yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can look it up, but I'll just tell you. It's you can do. Uh, Oops, that's the wrong
Okay,
bracket.
okay,
That's how you reverse the string.
okay. Okay. I guess yeah, and then maybe we do like remove left, like what it looked like if you remove the left one, so it would be your um, be then blank all the way to left, and then plus right and onward. And then yeah, and then we would reverse this if we turn this if this is reversed, then equal to it being regular. I copy too much. Or and then we just run the same thing. So we're initializing. Let me just write this down and explain. And then do this same idea here. Initialize up to wait, hold on. If we remove no, okay, this makes sense, but this the logic backwards here. If I'm removing the right one, I then no, this would make sense. So remove the right one, I go right, and then all the way from left. No, because left would be behind it. Makes sense. It'd be like, oh, let me copy this again. It would be you start from all the way to the right, and then you do right plus one, and then all the way to the end. I want to say this makes sense. You all the way from where you are to the right, and then plus one, and then just check the same logic here applies. I'll just copy paste this. It's a little ugly. I'll just do it. Yeah. Yes. Let me just do a quick sanity check. Example.
Yeah, can we sanity check these indices, please?
Yes. I think this. I'm having a trouble with this because I feel like this might be like these two can be out of bounds. Because like say we run across the first like let's say the first instance is a foul character, right? So this is like a capital A or something. Then like right away I'm then gonna be initializing two new variables with yeah, I'm gonna initialize two new variables. In this case, right would be an issue because if I'm going right plus one, then this would be out of bounds,
Well, hold on.
right?
How about left?
Left would also okay. Left would also be. Oh, I see. No, this okay. Yeah. Okay, wait. It would be from zero all the way to. If I'm removing left, then okay. So okay, let me go to left first. If left is A, and it doesn't matter if I remove or not. If I want to remove left, then I have to go left plus one right here. So you start off with left plus one, but the issue is I also have to keep into account the stuff that was previous before it. Okay, there's two cases. I thought it was simpler in my head. Okay, we can't do left plus one. Like in this case, left plus one works because like at the beginning of the string, there's nothing behind left. But if it's the case where the issue say arises here, if I do left plus one, then I'm just like I'm all this previously that's just like gets ignored, which is not good. So I have to
Right. So I mean, I think you're right about that. You are looking at something to do with the left. Now, since you're skipping the current left character, it would be left plus one. What's your concern with left plus one being the starting index? Oh, I see. Okay,
um
you want left plus one to be the ending index.
yeah, the ending. So like originally like left because like within the Python string like placing a string, the end index never gets counted. So I was like using that to my like to implement, but that is an issue. I feel
Oh,
like.
okay, I see some confusion here. So, um, in this case, when we remove the left, we want to end up. So if we remove the naively, it would be like this, right, like this. But the thing is
Yes.
if R and A are already matching, this is our leftover string, right?
Hmm.
And when we want to remove left, we want to end up with just EC, right? We don't want ECAR,
Oh yes. Okay.
right? So actually, what we want to do in this case is we want to start at left plus one and don't end at the end. Like we don't want to end over here. Like we want to end on the C,
Hmm.
right? And
Wait.
so
So
we
then,
start at left plus one and we end at what?
no, sorry. Continue on.
Oh no, I'm trying to have you fill in the blanks, right?
Oh,
So
oh, oh.
so we
Sorry. So
start
plus
right.
one.
So this is our L, and this is our sorry R,
Okay.
right? We want to end with
Yes.
EC,
If we're removing the left one, okay.
right?
So
Does
then
isn't
we
this
would.
isn't
Okay. Yeah.
because your goal is to check if EC is a palindrome, right? Isn't that your goal?
Well, no. Originally, my goal was to actually remove like either character and then check if removing the character check the full string if
Oh,
it's a
the
palindrome.
full string. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Well, that I mean that works too. That works too. So go ahead. Go ahead with that. Sorry, I thought you were trying to
Okay.
just check the sub, like the inside problem.
No, no,
But it's
no,
okay.
no, no.
Okay.
That's why I was kind of concatenating with this. Um. Okay. Zero all the way to left. Mm,
Yeah.
Then we
Okay.
just run do a model. Yeah, because then okay. Regardless, so if A is the beginning, we're still catching it with this, and then all the way to the end, like since it's like the ending, we're not like ending is aren't like spicing a string and the end doesn't get added onto it. So like this seems good, and then we start from left plus one here, and then after that we add everything else.
Yep.
Um, right here you go all the way to the right, and then you just do right plus one. The issue is here because like this is okay because left will never be greater than right. Therefore, there's no issue of out of bounds. 'Cause
Yeah.
otherwise, like you never you, like the while doesn't run. The issue with the right though is we can have an out of bounds issue, and so um if right say let's say at the very beginning we come across the race or car at the very beginning. So this is like a whatever we want to remove this. Um, if we want to remove A, we have to increment it by plus one, but then we're out of bounds. So um, maybe we could do like a if thing to check to see if this would be a problem and like if right is the last index, then we could just do like just we literally just do string from beginning up all the way to the right and then return that right because that we won't include it. Maybe do like if right is equal right plus one. Sorry, right plus one is equal to length of string. Then we would splice it like this. Let me copy this. You just you splice like so.
Okay.
Else, we would splice it like this instead. We would start beginning and then we could do a one one. And then this should okay. Or like we can do like greater than or equal to just in case, but this should be fine. and then we splice like that, and then at the very end we would return. If either of these return true, meaning like either of them are palindromic, then we're good. If both of them are false, then we return false. Because after this, if this check doesn't change it, then no other checks matter. Because we're checking if we remove one character, and then yeah, and then like if this check never even gets ran, then we just like then we know all characters are good to go. Then we return true.
Is this one supposed to be starting out right plus
Oh,
one
sorry.
instead of ending there?
No, yeah, it's supposed to be. Sorry, yeah, it's supposed to be ending right here, like this, and continue
Okay,
on.
okay, yeah, okay.
And then yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry,
So
this is bugged.
return that or remove equals. Okay, okay, okay. All right, cool. I want to just quickly talk about the time and space complexity of the solution, please.
Okay, the space complexity would be constant because we're not like initializing a variable. I mean, it's for like a list that's corresponding to like the length of our string. So we just have like a bunch of constants here. So left, right, the pointers, and then that's essentially it. Actually, no, sorry, that's not true because we initialize these. So the worst case would be O of 2n, but since because we're initializing both these are like the both main ones, but then we can just like drop the 2 and just say O of n, a worst case. The space, sorry, that was the space complexity. The time complexity would be, since we're doing like a left-right pointer, it would be log O log of n.
Sorry, time. Sorry, was that time or space at the beginning that you said?
The beginning was space, sorry, I went backwards.
Okay, so space is what?
O of n.
Okay.
Then time would be O log of n, because at most we check of the string.
You check the string. What does that mean? Can you elaborate?
So like half of the string, essentially, because the pointers check one, like for each iteration, we're checking, like we're checking like both. Explain this. Okay, so for this race car, in this case, this is true. We're always gonna like worst case, we're only gonna check. We're only gonna run through a loop halfway through the string. So, and then O log of that would capture that. Like the pointers, like we're kind of decrementing, so it'd go like down or up all the way up to the middle of the string. So that would be log n. Honestly, that's the case.
So would that be log n or would that be linear? Like, what's the difference there?
Would that be log n or linear? The reason why it's not linear is
okay.
because we don't like for each loop iteration, we're not checking like one variable for each loop iteration, because at most we're only gonna do like half. We do like n over 2 checks within the loop. Like this will only run n over 2 max.
Okay, and is n over 2
So,
considered linear or log?
oh, I'm sorry. Okay, because n over 2 just 1 over 2 times n. So I guess it would be over n. Yeah.
Okay.
Of log n. Okay.
Okay, so you think it's linear now? Okay.
Yeah, linear. Both will be linear.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that sounds good. Now we have a bit of time left, so I want to ask a follow up, and we likely won't have time for the follow up, but I want to just see how you're thinking about this, approaching this solution. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So for this problem, it's the same setup as a palindrome, right? But now instead of the ability to delete a character, you can now modify a character. Okay? So what does that mean? Modify means you can't add or remove characters, but you can change a character to be anything you want. And the question is now, can a string be made palindromic if you can modify one character? Or modify none, but like modify 0 or 1 characters.
Yeah, I see. Okay. I just repeat it real quick. In the string, it's the same setup. But instead of removing a character, we're modifying a character.
Yes, correct, exactly.
Can a modification include a removing a character, or no? It must be
No, it
the
cannot.
character must stay in place and just be changed. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Then in that case,
let's not touch this. So let's not touch this solution here. So you can work down there. All right. I want to just comment this out for us.
And yeah, I guess so far like the setup of us iterating through the string won't change. Our initial our pointer initializations won't change either. The main logic that would change would be this check right here. So it's okay. So essentially, instead of removing a character, we want to have two different worlds then. So like be like mod sorry left, and then essentially what I'm gonna do now is instead of removing the character, I'm gonna modify him. And the same setup. Where like I'm gonna have two different worlds. Where one, I modify the left character to equal the right, and then for the if and then the other world will be modifying the right to equal the left, and then check to see again like within the reverse check like the return check to see if either of those like worlds return a palindrome. Does that make sense?
I think that makes sense. I'm following what you're saying. I think this is a matter of
Yes.
implementation. So why don't you get on that?
Okay.
I think we
Okay.
have a bit.
Sounds
I
good.
mean, we can go until maybe like 50 or something. So you got like 10 minutes or so. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. So okay. Okay. Then I think it's because I need to have a temp variable to hold. This is I'll just do temp here. Actually, no, let me just delete all the stuff for the return to make this look nice. Just delete this too. Temp would be left, and then I'm gonna have that specifically would be yeah. So yeah, and then for instance within mod left would then be equal to string all the way to and copy this code right here. Instead, oops, let me copy this part right here. Instead of moving it, we're gonna go here, and then instead of doing this, I'm gonna just add temp to it, so in the middle, and then maybe we don't need temp if I'm doing it like this. Then yeah, go temp. Yeah, this will include left, and then go one. Yeah, this will work, and then right. The same logic would be applied here. This was a little funny. Wish I remember the hotkey to comment. Yeah,
It's
mod
just
right.
for comment. You mean the
Is it
hashtag? Oh,
no
it's
no like the
control slash. It's control
yeah
slash.
control slash okay.
Yeah.
I always forget that. Um mod okay. And then oops mod okay. Yeah okay. And then this in this world we just instead if it's the case so temp here equals I guess I could just do temp would be right. This is and then this would then yeah change yeah. And then this world would then just be left. And then we're adding left into the right. The world where we modify the right pointers to equal the left pointer's value. So then this would be right plus temp here. And then in this world, it's the same idea. We're like adding in the middle. And then we return, yeah, then we would return the like Boolean expression of or mod equal to mod left one or mod right right is equal to mod right. And I think do a little one last here would be right, so then left we skip over left plus like this is like us removing it right here technically. If you like don't have temp, but this then since we're concatenating temp as well, we're adding temp in. So this is like us replacing the left pointer with the right value. Yeah, and then the same goes here. And then we're doing the opposite, same idea, and then yeah, this looks good to me.
Okay. Same question as before. What do you think is the time and space complexity here?
I it's unchanged. I think this is the same
Unchanged.
for both. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Sounds good. Um, we got to that pretty fast. I'm happy with that. So I want to just end the mock over here and get into feedback. Um, and with that, so let me just quickly check my notes. Anything I wanted to say off the top? I mean, usually when I start these, I want to ask you first, right? How do you feel like you did? What do you feel like you did well? What do you feel like you struggled a little bit more with? Any thoughts like that?
I think usually like based on past performance, I think I communicated a little better than I usually do, but I still would like to improve that a lot. As for execution of code and like trying to get my like my idea off the ground or just thinking about a solution, it wasn't I feel like I underperformed like greatly. So I wish I like did better in that regard. I feel like that was my biggest weakness, as well as maybe like sometimes not getting my what I'm saying across correctly. So like still some ideas, like my thought process.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is that you have to, um, like a lot of it is that you have to be careful with how you communicate. It's not just a
Yeah.
matter of how good your idea is. That's one part, right? But the other part is if you have a good idea, you can't fumble the communication, right? You have to be very precise with it. You have to be careful with it. And sometimes if you don't know what's going on, that's okay to say as well, right? But what you don't want
Mhm.
to have is you don't want to have a good idea and then be incapable of talking about it well, right? Now, I mean, we can start the communication part. I think you actually had quite a few good ideas here, but some parts you were talking a bit fast. Some
Okay.
parts were a
Yeah.
bit
Yeah. I guess.
fast.
Yeah.
Some parts you need to slow down. And, a lot of people like myself, we're native speakers. That's all fine. Some interviewers might not be native English speakers. Okay? And so then they're going to struggle a little, a bit more. Some of them won't struggle too much because, I mean, obviously, if you're communicating the same ideas, they'll know what's going on, right? But especially if
Mhm.
you're off the main path, if you're doing something a bit more weird, right? They might be a little hesitant. So just make sure that whenever you do talk about an idea, first of all, you get buy-in, right? You ask them, hey, do you understand? Hey, how do you feel about that? That's what you did today. I think that was quite good. Okay. But other times you might need to just slow yourself down a little bit, right? Just to check yourself. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So that's something I want to open up with. Now, a couple things I think, just to kind of run through. Great use of the built-ins reversed. I think that's a good thing. By the way, good that you asked, right? If you're not sure if you can use a built-in function, always ask. Doesn't hurt, right? Worst case is say no, you can't use it, and then you're not worse off than you were before, right?
Mhm.
Good at the beginning. Use some examples, right? Examples are always good. Usually, by the way, with examples, especially if it's a relatively simple problem, you can come up with a couple examples, right? You can come up with a couple of them.
Yeah.
There's this one thing I saw. A lot of people were talking about this example actually. So we had race car, right?
Mhm.
I'll put it over here. So we have race car. This is a basic one, and then you have race car, and then you put an extra character at the end, no, somewhere in the middle, and then you
Yeah.
put the race car,
And at
some
the end
character at
as
the end,
well.
right? Now these are two kind of good, I would say, basic examples I would expect you to come up with, and the reason is
Mhm.
because, in this case, it doesn't matter which of the middle two characters you remove.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, you still. Yeah.
Either way, it's going to be okay. But in this case, right, for these two, it does matter which of the two you remove. Or I guess
Mhm.
in this case it's a bad example because these actually do match. Let's just do like X, right? In this case, it does matter, right? So just be aware of that. Sometimes it's really going to matter, and you need to be careful about these kind of test cases, right? For example, if this was your only example, which it wasn't, thankfully, but if this was your only example, then you would have not realized that there's actually two sub problems, right? There's two problems that can arise from removing either one, right? Well, if you had this problem, then that would have been obvious. So be aware
Yeah.
when you're spending the time to make examples, try to make better ones, try to make more representative examples. Okay?
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Edge
I
cases
feel like in
wise,
the edge cases. Yeah.
I think you still did okay. Empty string, that was, I think you talked about, I want that was well done. Now, one thing you didn't talk about is how your solution actually handles empty string. In this case, it's not a big
Oh.
deal, but you didn't, but I feel like that could have been a bit more explicit. And by the way, if you had written all the examples out of the front, this is very, very rapid fire. Boom, example one, okay, that's a handle like this. Boom, example two, all right, we do it this way, we do it this way, it's handled like this. Example three, etc. Right? So having that organization not only helps yourself but also helps the interviewer,
Mhm.
right? Um, this is a bit of a note I put here is that you asked about the character set early. So character set in this context, by the way, means what characters are available to be put into the input, right? So this is something
Oh
we should talk
yeah.
about earlier. You asked about it. in this case, in this problem, it didn't really matter. That wasn't what I was trying to test. Okay, um, but it is something which you want to just make sure that you're asking something you follow through. So if you ask about, hey, are commas allowed? Are these symbols allowed? Right, make sure you handle those in the input, or you get very clear, or you get very strong clarification. Hey, you know what? Those are allowed, but let's say for the problem, we won't allow any non-alphanumeric character or non-alphabet characters, right?
Mhm.
So if you're asking about something, make sure you follow through with it. Otherwise, it might be a bit weird. Hey, he just asked this question that was kind of random, but that's kind of whatever, right? This is a more general thing I wanted to talk about, which is the goal. Every time you're doing something in an interview, your immediate goal must be very obvious. And for two reasons. Your immediate goal must be obvious because I need to know what you're trying to do. And two, I need to know if I should tell you to stop. Right? An example of this is when you were, where were you? Oh, you were over here.
The variable, the variable part,
You were
or
trying to
oh,
over here, where you were trying to remove part of the string. Now I was confused, and you were also confused because you couldn't figure out the indices. But I was confused about
mhm.
what you were even trying to do with the indices, right? I thought you were
Oh
trying
yes,
to,
yes.
only remove one character and then go into the sub problem. So I thought you were trying to remove characters and go into this case, but you were actually trying to remove one character and go into everything else case,
Mhm.
right? So that part was not clear to me. And by the way, that would have been more clear if you just talk more about your goal as you go, not just talking about what your immediate index problem is, etc. Talk a bit more high level sometimes. That helps as well. Now, where your
Yeah.
goal was obvious, for example, was when you're talking about things like, hey, I want to reverse the string, I want to compare the reverse string versus the current string, right? That goal is very easy to understand, and that is very good. And in that case, I chose to step in and help you out because that's not part of the test, right? But now that's the example of where, I understood what your goal is, and because your goal is not part of the test, I will just give that to you, right?
Mhm.
Now, in that case, you kind of lucked out. But even if that wasn't something, even if that was something which was on the test, me understanding your goal is still a good thing, because now I would understand. Oh, okay, he is now entering a critical part of the problem. Let's see how he does. Right. So just be aware of that. That's very very important. Always make your goal clear. In the best case, they can help you out. In the worst case, they at least know what you're struggling with, and they can move to the different part of the problem if you get stuck. Right. So the goal part is really important. I want to just check in. Does that make sense so far?
No, yeah, yeah. Everything makes sense so far.
All
Yeah.
right, cool. So next piece of feedback I had here was about the Python fundamentals. Um, I don't know if you're new to Leetcode, you might be a bit newer, and that's obviously fine. Yeah, I'm really gotta start somewhere. I think it's also worth for a lot of people, and I think this applies to you. If you're picking Python for your interview, make sure you get some of the Python fundamentals down a bit more straight, right? So for
Mhm.
example, I think things like knowing how to reverse a string, you can't really be asking that, okay? You
Yeah,
can't
that's
really be
fair.
asking that, okay? Stuff like that, you just have to, like, you kind of have to know. Now, in this case, again, this is a mock interview. I don't really care about you struggling on that. I'll just give it to you, right? But in a real interview, they're going to see, okay, this guy chose Python, and they don't know how to reverse the string. That's a bit of a problem, okay? Similarly, how do you remove a character from a string? Removing from strings by index, by character, by unique, by anything like these kind of things, you have to just practice a little bit and get them under your wing. Okay, those are sub problems. Those are very basic building blocks, and you cannot struggle on the basic building blocks. Okay, so just be aware that's something which when you get to interviews, people assume is not going to be a problem. Similarly, string indices and or in this case, in general, list comprehensions, right? Um,
Mhm.
I you know what they are. That's good. Okay, so you know what they are.
Yeah.
So
No,
good
yeah, yeah.
starting
I
point,
understand that.
right? But I'm not gonna hammer it. But like, just be aware when people are gonna see this problem, like palindrome for example, right? They don't want to see you struggle on the on indices. And similarly,
Mhm.
one thing that I think this is something which you probably just didn't know, but in this case, if your starting index, by the way, is out of bounds, it's not a problem. It just
Oh,
doesn't
it's not.
put anything.
Oh,
No. So again, right, that's something which if you don't know, I mean, it's not like you fail the interview, but it's like this guy doesn't actually write Python, right? All right, so um, all right, moving at a high level a little bit more. I think goal setting, goal communication, that's the most important part, right? That's kind of everything. Everything else is kind of small details. You can figure that out, right? goal setting, communication, always going to be the most important. And that's going to be true, by the way, regardless of the interview. Right now, you're doing a Leetcode. In the future, you do a system design. In the future, you do an object-oriented design, whatever it is, right? Those are all going to be common themes because that, like the goal setting part, doesn't depend on the actual type of problem you're trying to solve, right? That's an approach kind of thing, right? How do you
Mhm.
approach the problem, right? The last thing I kind of the last thing I'll touch on here, just like some details, and then of course there's time for you to ask questions. Time complexity, space complexity, a little bit rusty I think,
Yeah.
right? A little bit rusty. Stuff like this I think probably comes with practice. But especially when the interviewer is asking about details on stuff like that, chances are you're wrong. Chances are you're wrong, and it's about time you figure out what's going on. Why they asked me that? Are they just confused, or are they hinting that I should be thinking of something else? So I think in general that's something you can definitely improve on. And by the way, for this specific problem, when you were justifying the time complexity being log n, um, as you know, the time complexity is the worst case complexity, and the worst case complexity is never your iteration order. But remember, it is the fact you're doing this, right? And this doesn't depend on how many times you order, because this is always going to be in -1 characters. So,
Minus one.
so it
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean the second problem, the follow up problem. I mean, I'll send you the link after you can go do the problem yourself again. I won't hammer on that one. Any questions they have for me?
Yes. No, I mean, generally no, because I feel like you covered everything. Because like thinking back, I think my issue was like the communication. Because sometimes whenever I'm like anxious, I just talk too fast. Like I feel like I lose like the other party on like what I'm thinking. So that's like a big thing, as well as like also just communicating. I mean, it goes hand in hand with like talking fast, but like communicating where I'm at in my head, like my goal of like what I want to do. I feel like is an issue, and then also like I'm misagreeing with what you said essentially, but also like having like poor like fundamentals with Python like makes it hard for me to implement like what my thoughts are, and so I get stuck on like this like stuff like indices, like if am I out of bounds or like is this like how to reverse a strings or stuff like that. But yeah, I agree. I guess one big thing is like because you did help me at the like at this part right here where you like did the remove left right would like negate it against like somebody in general, like if you like came like on to help, like give a hint or like guide like where the person's going.
Yeah.
That would okay.
Sorry. What's the question?
Oh no, so I'm saying like because like at this part right here, I was a little lost with I
Yeah.
think it was the indices. You kind of like guided me and like okay like say we remove the left and right one, like what would that look like? Like was that part would that like negate against my final I guess like grading of like how I did
I
like
mean,
in
yeah, it
like
would
an actual
definitely.
interview?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would be a negative for the interview because managing indices for this problem is the entire problem. But like I said, right, if your goal is clear to the interviewer, in this case, I read
Mhm.
between the lines and understood your confusion is not that there are two problems, but you just literally cannot figure out what the index value should be. So in that
Yeah.
case, I said, okay, well, I can step in and help you figure out that the index value should be left +1 or something, right? So I can
Mhm.
target my help towards that specific part, and you notice I said something like, oh, "Okay, I'll have you take it from here," right? So I didn't want to
Okay.
give
Yeah.
away the
Yeah.
hint yet that there are two subproblems, for example, right? So I mean, again, if your goals are very clear and therefore I understand exactly what you're struggling with, I can choose to step in and then help you on a specific part. Obviously, I might have helped more than just that one part here, but yes, in general, it will be a negative, but you can limit how negative it is by making it very clear to the interviewer exactly what you're stuck on.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. Thank you. I guess yeah. That's all from me.
Okay. Well then, thank you very
Thank you so
much
much.
for your time and
Um.
good luck.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.